This is the diary of the griever named John Weaver, which is me. It's 9:34 in the morning on a Saturday, the 23rd of September, 2023. It's hard to deal with loss, and it's hard to deal with the realization. There's no way anybody could understand just how much the loved one meant until you lose that loved one, and then that hole is never filled up. For some of us who have actually kept our loved ones intact for a long while, we don't fully grasp what death and grieving and mourning is all about. If you haven't been graced by death, maybe you're lucky. Maybe you're one of the lucky ones. It would be foolish for me to say that you're one of the unlucky ones. Dealing with a loss that is too profound and too deep, I guess, is the only way to qualify in the grieving club that we have, of how many people we have lost and how many people we have tried to memorialize. You know, I always do these camera angles on my own page of the chest right behind me, the armoire, whatever they would call it, cabinet. I don't know, sometimes I consider it a memorial, sometimes I consider it a crypt, a mausoleum. Maybe the emotional ball and chain. The last physical and connection remnant I have to my family. Besides looking at pictures on a constant basis, on the phone and also on a laptop. This is the constant reminder of what I face all the time. For those who followed my channel, I'm grateful. I used it as an emotional lifeboat because I needed to keep my sanity going after losing people I really cared about. And it's still hard for me to deal with because I've got triggers all around that hook up with the concept, the idea, the words, the actions. To me, a family is everything. And here's the catch on it. Sometimes I took it for granted on occasions. They would always be there. The assumption every single day was they're going to be there, regardless of whatever happens and regardless of whatever physical ailments they suffer and what ailments are going to be taking them away from me. Denial is, well, some people call it protection. It's a hell of a lot of fear because I always wanted my mother to live on forever and my brother to do so. I should have known a long time ago that death was the permanent thing in this realm of ours. As I said before in my earlier videos, I had crossed over that barrier 3 times and came back to life 3 times. Surgeons weren't going to give up on me, and neither was God. I was giving up on me. I wanted to stay in heaven, but I really didn't have that deeper connection with my mother or my brother during that time, and my brother had written a letter to the doctor stating that Please, doctor, don't let my brother die. I still have the note written in my mother's youthful hands. He handed a note to the doctor, and the doctor handed a note back to Ma. And she kept it all this time. I heard something about it and just pushed the story off. But I never realized. I didn't realize the significance. How could I have? All this time. Until it was days after, or probably weeks after Ma's passing. And then her cremation. Dave and I looked in the special box where Ma kept stuff in. And that's where we found it. Dave was firstborn. My big brother was firstborn. And it took a hell of a lot out of him when Ma died. In the last several, or 4 or 5, maybe 6 months, I think, before Ma passed, Dave was trying to ready for me this. He knew. He was afraid. And he couldn't say it in exactly the same words or anything else. He couldn't break down. He had to be the strong one always. Inside, he must have been terrified. But he couldn't show that to Ma, and he sure as hell couldn't show that to his younger brother. Because he knew I looked up to him all the damn time. All the time. And he kept trying to ready me this, and I didn't want to be readied. I didn't want to know about it. Ma was in bed, and I thought she was going to get better, maybe a little bit. But she was just getting deeper and deeper, and I was kidding myself. I was kidding myself on this. There's a memorial service. A friend of mine is she's got to walk that path now. She has people around her that can help her walk it through. She's lucky and blessed. I think karma got my ass. Growing up as a kid, I was isolating myself because I was the one that got through death and scared the hell out of me, and so did life. And I really didn't know how to deal and to relate with people, not even with my own family. But I sure as hell wasn't looking for death in the first place. I wasn't looking to kill myself. I was one rattled kid. I didn't even know how to think or feel sometimes. Put the emotional bandage on there and not even deal with the pain sometimes when you keep losing people left and right. It never occurs to us how much deep the pain really is unless we allow our guards to be dropped, and then the loss, the emptiness. It's looking at a big, vast emptiness. And you feel it's empty. You're on the edge. And you don't even know how to deal with it. The feeling of a pit of the stomach? No. A pit in the heart. It's one thing looking over an edge of a canyon and at night and feel the immenseness in it, but it's another thing when that particular canyon has like an emptiness in it with nothing in it. And somewhere was a heart that was ripped out and just floated away across the vastness of it. Now, how many flags are being sent up to say that the pain is still there? It's never easy to deal with it, or to let somebody else come into your life to help you go through it. Some people are lucky enough, other people aren't. I wish I could. Honest to God, I probably wish I could do this thing, but I couldn't. Because I'm not in a position to actually put myself in that where I'm saying goodbye to Ma and Dave. I guess I'm not going to be ready until the time I die. People will probably say I'm wasting my life. Well, I had lived a life with my family. I lived a life with my mother and my brother constantly in my life. Sometimes I considered it a blessing, and other times it was a curse, and other times it was just a pain in the ass. But I still loved them regardless. I can't live alone. I live with a dog. And I don't know what would happen if I actually did live alone entirely. The truth of the matter is, I've always been alone. In my youth and growing up, I pushed people away. Karma is reminding me of that. There was a rumor of a curse. My brother, I don't know, he was afraid of this one and he thought this damn thing was real or not. He tried to talk to me about it. All the Cameron people that we knew of, all actually the Cameron men that me and my brother knew in our lives, didn't live past the age of 60. All the adults, all the adult males. We had maybe 4 or 5 people passed away. And it was the hardest damn thing to deal with. If my brother was alive, he'd probably point out where it started from. And he probably could have backtracked it more and more. And he was born of the Cameron line, but he was also born of the Shaw line. He talked to his father. He told my brother that, no, the Shaw line, they don't die past the age of 60, maybe 70, 80, maybe 90. My brother was relieved until past the age of 60. Then everything else started breaking down on him. He died a few months after he reached 60. It should terrify the living crap out of me about this when I should be running around without my head on my shoulders. I still got my head on my shoulders. Give me 1 second. Sorry, just checking up on the coffee. I never had a memorial for David, and I never had a memorial for Mama. Last memorial service I went to was an uncle of mine, lived out in San Diego with his family. One of the siblings turned from a rock star into a family therapist, and the other was trying to follow his father's footsteps by becoming a cop in San Diego. They both have lovely kids and lovely children, and they've got grandkids that they're proud of. The hardest damn thing was to face these kids decades ago when their father died. I had a hell of a lot of respect for their father, Robert Morris. Actually, Raymond Cameron. Raymond was the oldest, Chris was the youngest. Morris Cameron. But everyone called him Uncle Bill. Or actually, I called him Bill anyway. It's suited for that name, I guess. But to me, it was always Uncle Bill. Some of my videos, I've talked about him. And his lovely wife, June. I guess I always had a hankering for male stability. Sometimes his Uncle Bill was a hard ass to his kids, but he really did love them. And I also loved him because to me he seemed like a stable father figure. I ticked off Ma while we had an argument. This was way before he passed away, and I was a mouthy kid during that time, mouthy teenager, and I blew up Ma. Said, "Why can't you just be like Uncle Bill?" Went over like a lead fart in a whirlwind. I never let myself live that one down. I did have a lot of respect for my mother. I had a great deal of respect for her. I had a great deal of respect for the family out in San Diego, but things happened that caused a lot of rifts that I don't know how to start the road to recovery on that. If there was any chance of rebuilding. I guess I'm still too much of a fooling idiot to even hope and dream for that one. And I still care about them. Just been out of their family for her entire lifetime, so it's kind of hard to rebuild bridges, you know. Yeah, why didn't we do this? Why didn't we do that? It was a hell of a lot of anger and vitriol. I guess we deserved that one. We were turned into black sheep and pariahs, I guess, from that particular family. Hell, if I happen to pass away, I don't think they're going to grieve as much or care as much. They won't know a damn thing about it. They just don't bother. Losing track of family, losing track of people that you care about or had cared about. Regrets will eat the living crap out of you. They'll tear your ass apart. They've been tearing my ass apart for a hell of a long while. And I can't seem to get past it because I don't know if there's any other way to get past it. I don't think there is. A lot of mistakes made, and I don't think that even my own family would forgive me on it if they could. I wish I had a better tribute. I wish I had a better thing to say of how I would understand the mistakes made in the past that'll be coming up to haunt your ass like crazy. And as I keep thinking about it, the regrets more and more will cripple and prevent anything of growth. We hold on to the pain because the only thing I got left to do is hold on to it. Memories, everything interconnected, feelings connected, the pain connected. Dave and I couldn't hold a service for Mama. He didn't want to go through it, neither did I, because it would tear us apart a great deal. He suggested a living service, a living memorial, basically. We would remember her and different things and whatever we could honor her by. But the one thing we could not do is do a service just to say goodbye. Dave wasn't going to do that. He talked about Ma, but he didn't really open up his heart or his pain. He kept it shut. Ma had a hell of a time trying to deal with her own grief, and she didn't share it with us. So Dave took the cue and just decided we weren't going to do it either. And the problem is, I wish we had. I wish we had. We would have known how to deal with the grief down the road. When Grandma passed away back in the early 80s, I don't know if it was a burden relief or something else, but I know it changed Ma a great deal more. We had the service. We had a beautiful service. But her body was being buried next to her sister up in Lafayette, I think. Lafayette, California. There's a memorial park out there. I have to make a pilgrimage. I have to make inquiries with it. If Aunt May and Grandma are there, I know Ma wanted her ashes scattered in Hiawatha, Utah, because she loved that town a great deal. I'd rather keep the family together. Dave had ideas of having his ashes scattered in Texas and at sea. I would like to give most of the ashes to the sister, if I could, if she's still alive. And if not, I'd probably have to bury them or put them in a memorial with Grandma and Aunt May and Ma in one spot. And the hardest damn thing to have done is to leave them up there. Grandma and Aunt May are already up there. I have Ma, Dave, and the dogs out here. I guess the living memorial right now seems to be more of a zombie state. Denial of the pain, denial of living, denial of life itself, but memories are supposed to be there. We're supposed to live life, but we can't live life if we're still mourning like crazy. They say services and memorials are supposed to be the ones to release all that pain. I don't know about that. Because it didn't quite release all with my mother. And she experienced too many of her family members gone. So had I. And too many pets. And it all accumulated on her to where she just couldn't take it anymore. I may not know the entire picture of what was going on in her heart or her head, but my understanding of her own grief, she wasn't grieving that much unless she was being very thoroughly depressed in bed and barely got out of it. Vibrancy was left. And Ma was just there. She didn't need 4 rooms in a strange place. She was far away in a bedroom. My brother did 24/7. Sometimes she would react okay, and other times she wouldn't. In the end, her body just wore out. that was it. She was gone. She passed away in a hospital. She didn't want to pass away in a hospital. She wanted to pass away at home. David, I didn't find the advanced medical directive until it was too late. She wanted to die at home. It was hard as hell to deal with, I tell you. I know other people are having issues with their own loved ones passing away from them, ones that they actually do care about, and people are looking for sage advice on how to get past this. There is no sage advice. People find their own ways of dealing with their own pain. Sometimes if they allow other loved ones to help them through it, that's fine, but alone, it takes something out of you. And the thing is, I had already been there before. I can't feel the way other people do. It doesn't make me celebratory or looking out for death. I avoid like the plague. But damn near got killed a few times in my lifetime, even after my own heart surgery. It's not. It scares the hell out of me sometimes. It doesn't make me cocky. It just makes me more and more wary. And how to deal with someone else's loss. I'd say welcome to the path. Welcome to the path. I've worn too many old shoes borrowed from everybody else walking this damn thing. And the people's sage advice of trying to deal and cope with the everyday loss every minute of the day. After losing my big brother in 2018, Ma was in 2013. There was a friend of ours about in 2014. Who was a surrogate mother as well, Dee. Miss her. And then there was a family pet. A dear old friend of mine. Yeah, it takes a toll on you. I'm constantly reminded of it. People may bury the bodies or bury the ashes somewhere else or probably contain them somewhere, but you can't bury the pain. It's a day-by-day existence. I've lost other aunts, I've lost uncles, I've lost dear family pets or family members still throughout my life. I had tried to keep up the appearances of being strong for everybody else. Couldn't be strong for myself though. Once in a great while, I'd feel it, and then maybe I'd have a little cry, but away from people, away from everything else. But since losing my big brother, I mean, my mother started to tear, and then everything else started just going downhill. I could talk about my family's life or lifestyles. I could talk about how they lived, how they existed. I've done videos about it that damn near tore me apart. And I'm not just talking about them. I mean, I know eventually I'm going to be going back into the bedroom and tearing myself apart over this thing. Crying my ass off like crazy as their roller coaster continues to throw me around everywhere, every which way. I don't know if death is supposed to be easy for people to deal with. Because I kind of figured like this: if I put it into an accounting format here, how much investment you put into it, and when it's finally gone or just disappeared, put into a dark account you'll never get it out of. It still leaves a mark on the ledger sheet. That's a cold, analytical way of looking at human emotions, our human hearts, and our human souls. All the energy and all the love we poured into it, gone. And all we're left is the tap running, and we still can't stop the flood. There's no way to stop the spigot. I don't care how many damn wrenches you throw on it. There's, it's still there. The pain is still there. It's still gushing out. We can try to limit it, or we can just deal with it and just let it pour out still. And hope to God we don't flood the earth with our tears. Every time there's going to be a sad song out there that I remember, it's going to be hard enough. There's a few artists out there with a few songs that I can't deal with anymore. Jerry Reed, country singer and a movie star, Smokey and the Band and stuff. Dave loved it. Loved the CB talk. He loved the music. He loved everything about it. As much as he would admit it to me anyway. Dave and I would be listening to his music a great deal. If we were on the freeway, we had a CB operating in our car. We would also listen to truckers on there. We were influenced by the movie of Smokey and the Bandit. Every time I keep hearing and seeing that song or elements of it, I have a hard time dealing with it. That was my brother. He was a trucker at heart. I mean, he might have been a Navy SEAL at one time in his life, and in his career, damn near killed him, but he was also a trucker. I just can't stand seeing trucks and hearing Jerry Reed at the same time. I mean, it's just, it gets to me. And here's another one. We had an adopted sister from the recovery home, actually from the recovery rooms. We adopted a sister. And another fellow sister. And this one, both of them were near and dear to our hearts. One of the sisters married a good man, and hopefully they lived a good long life. And I miss them a great deal. But the other one made a more of an appearance, actually more of a deeper connection. She loved the movie Wings, I think. There was a song in it from Bette Midler, Wind Beneath My Wings. Ma listened to it and she fell in love with it. And her name was Marta. Her name was Marta. And we'd seen her go through some of the best days into the worst day ever before she passed. And it was like the wind beneath my mother's wings was just turned stale. Their other favorite niece in our family, Tony Ray. were a lot of special people my mother ran into in her life that endeared her so much. And when they were gone, it just tore her apart. I think the grief just took her out. Honest to God, I think that grief took her out. And my big brother. Holding in that much pain, holding in that much agony without expressing it to anybody else, not even to me. It's like they had to protect me from the pain. Hell, I've been through the damn process. It scared the hell out of me. Why didn't anybody else talk to me about it all my life? Nobody. It was not until after David died and I'm starting to do these videotapes and I'm doing more and more audio tapes of self-exploration of what the hell's going on with me and my life and memories and stuff that I'm learning more and more about my family. Through memories, through stories, going through back through things. And it was like I'm learning more and more in reverse. Instead of while I was right there. But I didn't have the context. I didn't have the perspective. I didn't have anything else to relate to it. Except, yeah, I'd been dead. And I'd gone through a few near misses. So what? And I had an arrogance with me around me on that one. I had an arrogance like crazy on that one. Let me get part two going.